Yo guys, what's poppin'? In this video I got a good one. My duo and I played DreamHack for the first time, and this is just the opens. We didn't get to semis and we didn't qual. I'm gonna be walking you guys through the mistakes I made during this game as well as my teammate, and I'm gonna show you guys some of the positive things we did so you guys can learn from it as well. The very last game in this video is gonna be the best one, where we made it top 3 and we picked up about 10 kills. Obviously I'm not a pro, but since I do tips and tricks on YouTube all the time, I feel like I can explain things pretty well and tell you guys what I did wrong so it can benefit you and your duo. DreamHack has a very weird point system, and the kills are worth a lot, so if you frag out, you get rewarded for it. Going into this event, the main focus for my duo and I was to get as much placement as possible and just let the kills come to us endgame. We'd obviously try and win our off spawn fights, but if something got too crazy, we would always just dip because we landed steamy stacks most of the games. The bad thing about landing there was the zone griefed us probably 4 or 5 out of the 10 games, and we constantly had to rotate really far, which griefed our mats and just griefed our positioning all the time. We definitely could have gotten a little more lucky with the zone pull, but at the end of the day, we always tried to rotate dead side and just put ourselves in a position to win the game and get to endgame. Before I hop in the first game, there's going to be another 1000 V-Buck giveaway, so make sure you look in the description and enter the giveaway down below. Alright, let's go. So I'm not going to be reviewing every game, but in the first game, I took a snipe at this kid and he was aggro on us from the start. So I just tried to play back, and one thing we did bad was that we played kind of passive here, which is not the best thing to do. We honestly should have just took this fight head on and just ramped rush right over the guy and started getting hype. We didn't think that they would just go full crazy mode on us and just psycho in our box. But the bad thing here was that my teammate was building out of wood, and when you're getting pushed 1v2 like that, the only way you're going to survive is if you build a way out of hard mats and run towards your duo, because other than that, you're going to be fighting a 1v2. Then I kind of just full sent and tried to save my duo before he died, but I ended up dying. Next game, this is game 2, and we did kind of well this game. One thing to note is that I'm always pushing people when my duo is around me. We try and make an emphasis on that point, because if we don't, we're not going to be able to kill them that fast. Then we just do a nice little 2v1 after we get that first kid down, and we got the kill. Right here, I wanted to show you, I learned this from Jiven TV. Those NPCs always have the same thing, so make sure you watch Jiven's video on where all the NPCs spawn and what they spawn. That's really useful information. So after we body that team, we end up being in a good position here, and as the IGL, I really try and focus on getting in a position where we can try and hold kids. That's the main objective. And since these kids were in the zone, for some reason they thought they had to come up more, which I guess is the right play, but they ended up getting headshot sniped by me, and we just ran over there and cleaned up the next duo. Once I got all those mats, I just thought we should play low ground, and that's exactly what we ended up doing, and I just used those mats to create a nice little tarp for my duo and I. Carrying a sniper around these games is something that I like to do a lot, especially if I have nothing else to hold. Having a sniper could literally change the pace of a game. So we boxed up, we're in a good position. Here I'm going to tell you what I did wrong. I was really focused on staying ahead, even on small lobbies like this, and the main thing was I got too greedy and tried to play back for a double edit and try and get a refresh, even though we didn't even need one. It was kind of a dumb play, but it is what it is. Here you can see how when I'm tarping, I'm cutting off other duos either by building over them or under them and just creating all this space for us, as you can see right here. If I would have just kept the tarp going, we would have been in a really good spot, but I tried to get greedy here and go for a kill, which is just a dumb play. Then I ended up falling down the water and screwed up the tarp, and at that point it was just solo dolo, and I end up dying. Things to learn from that is to not get too greedy and just focus on really staying ahead while your teammate puts pressure on other people. He should be the one calling out the kills, and you should be the one focused on zone and what's ahead of you and where you're going to rotate to and how you're going to get there. Next kill, here's a mistake I made again. This happens another time, but never get in someone's box if your teammate is literally not on that wall with you and we die to a 1v2. I mentioned this in the 100 tips video, but every time there's a 1v2, they always look to psycho. If you just spray them out and grab the walls at the same time, you'll get the kill every single time. That's something we didn't do. On to the next game, game 4. As you can see right here, we just built in the zone, and we should have waited for the builds to settle before we ran and tried to tarp out a little more. We're on the edge of the zone, and we just wanted to tarp in like 1 or 2 boxes. Once the builds settle, I build out a brick, and now we can look back and hold kids, and right here we're in a really, really good position. Maybe one thing I could have done was place a wall on the right or even a cone on top of the box in front of me. That way no one can get a snipe shot on me, and we're protected while we shoot these kids. So right now we just have a lot of AR, and we're just spraying through every build possible. These kids are forced to stay back in zone, and we end up griefing their game, and I get some nice head dinks on them and get the kill. Something like that is extremely useful, because if I even had a harpoon, I'd be able to get that loot if I just built over a little more.
Watch out, you're peeking kind of too hard a little bit.
Do again, go again. Fortnite cracked.
I'm out of AR.
Knock. AR me. So now we got to focus on the rotates, and since I was late to the rotates, I was a tad bit nervous here, and I end up tarping in the wrong direction. This is something that I do so much. For some reason, I always get screwed up on where the zone is going. I'm learning it slowly, but it's just a process I got to get better at. The more I do it, the better I'll get. Oh, kid in my box. Nice one. Then I have so many flops, and I end up playing flops here just because my duo called it out, and he had flops as well, so we were both able to tank zone. Then I look back in the zone, get some more kills, and another thing I regret doing was not picking up that loot below me. I probably could have ran to that. I think there was a flopper down below, but it is what it is. End up getting in zone, and I thought I was in a good position, but I ended up getting shot in the back. When I die right here, I'm calming things like how much heals he has left, how much placement he has left, and overall just giving him good solid advice without screaming in his ear. I'm gonna let him play it out and do the things he wants, but I'm just gonna call out the things that he's not looking at. You have 4 flops, yo. You can play flops. Get top 5 here for 174 points. Not bad. You have a lot of max. It's got top 6. Go in more here. One more flop. Top 4. He ends up dying from the zone, but I just wanted to point that tip out. Even though I don't agree with the way he rotated, I'm not gonna bug him about it because he learns himself. In game 5 and throughout all the games, we always calm where we're landing. We're very talkative in the beginning of the jumps off the bus because we need to land in the same spot, usually. If we ever land and we're not next to each other, we always end up getting pushed and 1v2. Right here, my teammate calls out a solo. So what I do, instead of pushing directly up with him, I just go from a different angle to try and get a beam, and then he does what I did the other game and just pushes right in their box. And like I said, since they're a solo, they're just gonna psycho on you, and if they end up getting the kill, it's gonna grief our game. So make sure you guys don't do stuff like that. That's what we need to work on. You can see right here, when I'm box fighting this kid, a heavy strat that I like to do is back up out of the box and then shoot the second he breaks the wall so I could build right away in a different box. There's no way for him to get piece control on me because I'm already gonna be outside that box. This is a strat that's not really talked about that often, but if there's never a cone or anything inside the other player's box, I know he's gonna open up some edit. So all I do, since I see him far back, is just hold out my stare, get him in the far back, pin him down, and that specific edit I do makes it so he can't even see me when I shoot him. His head is gonna be blocked by that stare. So I end up running away because another team was there, and then I come all the way back to res my teammate again. That's a big strat too. Sometimes you have to rotate out and then come back to the spot you landed at to reboot your teammate. Here's an example. If I didn't have that sniper, I would be hard dead. We just rebooted with shambles loot, and I end up getting a headshot snipe on that kid. Then we end up 1v2ing this kid, and my teammate cleans up the kill. So as we're rotating here, one thing to note is that my teammate's going far left, but I see the zone is closer to the right, and we have natural cover over here. There's literally no teams here, so we could just rotate right behind this rock and be chilling and box up a little in front of us. So that's exactly what we do. We see a build fight happening, so we run over to grab the loot, and then we just run back and we focus on rotate. This was a little bit of a risky play, and in stacked endgames, if we were to bounce pad like that, we would get hard focus. But since it was a dead lobby, we kind of just freely did. This game ends up being crazy. So I see that we have no mats, so I knew that we had to run without building too much. So I use everything to my advantage, including the old build. Place cones on top of me while I'm running up that ramp just in case I get shot, and we end up bouncing and splitting. Right now we're both safe, and we end up getting next to each other, and we full send on this kid who shams. This entire game is a showcase to show you that when you have no loot, there's always shams people on low ground, whether there's 60 people in the game or whether there's like 10, 20 people in the game. So right here, since we have no mats, it's so important that my teammate stays right next to me this whole time. I was trying to get him to come over and not take any unnecessary fights because 2 kids with no mats is way better than 1 kid with build. So we end up just fragging out low ground here, and kids just randomly drop on us because they're shambles. My teammate ends up spraying up, gets someone to drop down, and we're in a good position. The one thing I regret here is that I should have stayed ulti low and just went right, but for some reason I decided to go above that and box up even though the zone was going in the other direction. That's a big mistake. Like I told you the other time, is that I always don't pay attention to the zone that much, and unless someone's calling it out for me, I struggle figuring out where the zone's gonna go in these tight circles. So I end up sniping that kid, and I realized right here that we had to full send on that gold trooper. We end up doing it, but we weren't able to secure the kill, but luckily that kid that I sniped dropped down, and he ends up dying to the zone. Once I got a knock here, I instantly called out to my teammate to try and stay alive as much as possible so I can get that finish. 5 points in something like this can bring you a long way. Every point matters. So some of the things I didn't mention in those games was the overview of DreamHack. For this next tournament I'm playing in like an hour or two, we're gonna have a different game plan, and I'm gonna tell you what it is right now. Personally, this is how I'm doing, and I think the DreamHack works if you want to do good in them and actually qualify, especially for the first round. What you need to do is maybe queue about 5 to 10 minutes late and go off your first game. If you could slay out with about 10 to 12 kills and get the win, you will be in an amazing position because everyone who starts out, it's gonna be a mix of bad players and good players, but mostly bad if you queue late. So the plan is to do that for the first game, and then the following games we kind of want to follow a different pattern. Our goal is to win our off spawn fights, and then as we go throughout the games, we're gonna try and play for placement heavy. We're gonna try and pick up kills end game and only fight kids when we hit them first. The main thing is to never be scared, and if someone pushes us, we're not gonna be scared to take that fight, and we're gonna push them back. We're not gonna try and run away from anyone, because whenever you do that, it always seems to end up bad for me and my duo. If you win the first one or do really well, the main goal is just try and get 1 or even 2 more dubs. If you could place hella consistent all those other games, you're gonna do well in DreamHack. The plan for semis and finals though are gonna be way more different because the player base is way more stacked. And just to let you guys know, even in opens like this in the first round, once you get to around 400 to 430 points, the lobbies start to get hella stacked, and especially if there's not a lot of time left on the clock. Most of these games we didn't come across any storm surge, but if we had over 450 points, there's gonna be a few games where we're gonna need storm surge third zone. So for anyone who doesn't know, the more points you get, the better the lobbies are gonna be, especially towards the end. Keep in mind, if you're running low on time, you might want to consider W keying 1 or 2 games, landing a hot drop, and just trying to get as many kills as possible. It's not really worth to leave empty games on the table when you know you could have just dropped hot one game. Hope you guys learned something, and if you liked the video, don't forget to actually like the video. Don't forget to use my supported creator code KenBeans in the item shop next time you buy something. Just a reminder to enter that giveaway, link in the description, and we officially on the road to 100K. I love y'all and hope you have a good day or a wonderful rest of your night. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Deuces. Peace.